We're about to do a full deep clean and maintenance of our caravan, and you won't believe the before and after. Now, we've just spent a month off grid and the van currently looks like this. I'm not proud of it, but you don't buy an off-road caravan just to travel up and down the highway. I'm Brad, and me and my wife Hayley have owned an off-road caravan for the last 3 years, and we've learnt a lot in that time about cleaning and maintaining it. So in today's video, we're going to run you through the process of cleaning and maintaining our caravan after a trip. We'll show you all the products and different methods that we use, and hopefully this thing's looking like brand new at the end of this episode. Alright, so first things first, we're going to give everything a really good clean down. Now, usually you don't have the luxuries of a front lawn and a water tap when you're on the road full time. Usually it's just those franchise car washers. They are handy to just clean everything down, but I'd much rather give the van a hand wash, just so you're not using dirty brushes and putting scratches on the van. But sometimes they're a necessity, especially if you come straight off the beach. But today we're going to give her a good old-fashioned hand wash. I've got a bit of a cheat here as well to get off a lot of the grime, pressure washer. I do know a few people that do carry around a pressure washer with them. We're not one of them. We've just got one that we borrowed today. I would like to carry one in the future, and it's probably something that I'll do, especially now we've got the new ute. I want to make sure that's always spick and span. So yeah, we're going to use the pressure washer, get off all the bulk of the material so that we're not putting scratches and mud and dirt and grit into the gel coat of the van. So I've just got a foam cannon with some detergent in there. We'll give everything a really good soaking, including like underneath and all the suspension components and tanks and stuff under there. So one thing I will do to make my life easier to get it all around the van and underneath it is I'll lift the suspension all the way up, and I'll lift the jockey wheel up a fair bit, so I've got plenty of access in, under and around the van.
Now, the purpose of a soapy pre-soak and a rinse with the pressure washer is to lift off any debris off the surface, which makes the hand washing part much easier. Now, depending on how dirty your van is, you may not need to do this at all. Either way, I've never met a bloke who's not keen to pressure wash something, as there's something about this job that is so satisfying. When I'm doing a thorough clean like this, I also like to get under the van and give everything a good blast off down there too. I use the pressure washer to get into all the nooks and crannies, into the chassis rails, blast off the top of the water tanks, and also give all the components under there a pretty good rinse as well.
Right, I've just finished the first pressure washing stage. As you can see, things are already looking pretty good and shiny. Now what that like pre-soak and rinse does is just knock any like sort of gritty stuff off the van. Any of that sort of grit can act like sandpaper against your gel coat or your paint. So it looks pretty good now, but it's about to go up a whole nother level, so I'm going to give it a hand wash. Now, I will use a wash mitt on the roof. I just like doing the roof by hand. It seems to be the dirtiest spot, and there might be low spots where water might sit for periods of time, so I like to get up there, give that a really good rinse. And then for the sides, the back and the front, I will use a big broom. Just makes it so much quicker. This is a lot of surface area, and a really nice soft bristle broom like this can make short work of that job. So I'll get to soaping everything up. This is the truck wash I like to use, CT20. I've used this for probably decades. Ever since I bought my first car, I've used that truck wash, and yeah, it makes things come up really nice. So you might also notice that I've pulled the awning out. You can see there's these lines, very visible in the awning, and what that is, that's like mildew or the start of mold. And that's just from when the awning gets rolled up wet, which is most of the time inevitable. It just sits in those little pockets. So what I like to do is, again, I like to use this broom and some truck wash, and I'll wash underneath that awning every 3 to 6 months, because if you let that go too long, it can actually stain your awning and it looks shocking. So you'll actually probably be surprised how well this awning comes up underneath. It'll be glowing in a few minutes. So don't forget to roll your awning out and give that a good rinse while you're doing your wash.
For a deep clean, this whole process takes me a few hours, and after a thorough wash and rinse, we're ready to put on the finishing touches and make the van look brand new again. It sure is thirsty work, which is why we'd like to say a massive thanks to the awesome crew who kept the beer fridge stocked this month. Cheers.
Well, the wash is all finished up and it is looking fantastic. Now, there's one thing that can turn a good job into a great job, and it's this little product here, which I swear by, 303 Protectant. Now, you can use it on the interior of your car, but you can also use it on like the gel coat fiberglass surfaces such as this Caravan, and also rubber surfaces, which is what this sort of protection pack is made of. It's sort of like a Raptor style coating. So I'll give a healthy dosing of this over the protection pack, and every like 3 to 6 months I'll also do the fiberglass. I only did it like maybe a month or two ago, so I'm not going to go as far to do the whole van. It's a pretty big job, taking about an hour, but I'll give the protection pack a really healthy dosing of this stuff. I just spray it on like that, and I'll rub it in with a microfiber towel, and it'll make this black coating really shine up nicely, sort of like a tyre shine, but it just sort of hydrates that. This is the stuff that I always use for that, and it seems to work the best for this application.
Alright, before we get into more cleaning tips, we just wanted to let you know that it's only 1 week until we launch our new products on our website. Now, the main one that we are so excited for is our brand new travel guide called The Ultimate Top 10 Destinations to Visit on Your Big Lap Around Australia. We've made an actual hard copy version of this, but you can get a digital copy too, and it's over 90 pages of information, everything you need to know to visit these iconic spots in Australia. But we also have our 2026 calendar coming out, and some brand new goodies that we've never done before. We've made patches. Check out those. We absolutely love these designs. We made 2, so there's like the car one, or if you're not into the car one, just a normal our Australia trip one too, plus a cute little sticker, and we've got stubby coolers coming as well. So they're going live in a week's time next Sunday, but if you want early access and an exclusive discount, sign up to our VIP waitlist, and then we'll send you out the details so that you can get in before everybody else and get these products at the cheapest rate. We'll put the link, QR code here, and a link in the description. So jump on, sign up, and now let's get back to the cleaning episode.
Well, now all the cleaning jobs are done, we're onto a quick little maintenance run, and then we'll be finished with the exterior of the van. I've just grabbed my grease gun out of the car. These are an essential if you're traveling around the country. I use this thing so much more often than I thought I would. So I'll start up the front of the van. What I'll do first is just make sure the DO45 hitch here is nice and greased up. You can see there's a grease nipple right there. I just pump that full of grease, give it a few turns, and then that will take any squeak and it'll just make sure that the DO45 is operating as it should. So I'll add a few pumps of grease into this DO45 now, and we'll check our handbrake as well. Just connected the grease gun to the nipple, and now what I'll do is I'll just do a few pumps, and just until I can hear or see any water escape the unit itself. There you go. So I can see some grease, some air hissed out of there, a little bit of water. What I'll do now is I will give the DO45 just a bit of a turn, just to work the grease on the insides of the unit. You can see it's leaking out the front and the back here. It's meant to do that. Give it a few more pumps. Just maybe another one will do that, and now it's got heaps of grease in there. Yeah, so you don't want to add too much to it, because you'll just get covered in it every time you go to hitch or unhitch the Caravan. I'll pop that off, bit of wipe, and just give everything a little bit of a wipe down just to clean up any loose grease here. Also, we'll just check the handbrake adjustability. I know it's actually good, so usually around 6 or 8 clicks is pretty tight. So 7 clicks there, and if that was loose, you can just adjust it here by undoing these locking nuts and twisting that to either tighten it or loosen it, but usually you want to tighten it. So, but that's all good, I don't need to mess with that. So DO45 is good. Another thing I like to do just while I'm up the front here, maintenance wise, is just check our Anderson plug, make sure there's no cracks or anything there, so it's not going to get loose and fall off. That's fine. I'll spray all these connections here with a little bit of contact cleaner. Just helps with any electrics, just have a really good connection. And our 7-pin plug, I'll just check that out. Just make sure these pins aren't too close together, otherwise they won't contact where they plug into the car. So you can just spread them out with a screwdriver if they're too close together and your lights aren't coming on. And I'll also spray that with some contact cleaner just to clean that up, get any dirt and stuff that might hinder the connection. This contact cleaner stuff is great for any electrical connections. You just spray it into the contact area, it does its thing, cleans off any crap, and then it dries. It's also good to hit that on the other connection where it connects to the car as well. This is the grease I've been using recently. I just grab whatever general purpose grease is on special, grab a few tubes of it, and usually keeps me in check for quite a few months. Another really important point to grease on your Caravan is your swing arms. So if you've got an off-road van or a semi-off-road van, chances are you're gonna have a suspension that looks somewhat like this. And right here, there is a greasable nipple on every single one of these swing arms. Keeping the grease up to these swing arms is really important, especially if you're doing a lot of like dirt roads, corrugation work. Some of the trips we've done, I've greased all these nipples between every 500 to 1,000 Ks. If you're doing heaps of corrugations, the grease will heat up, it'll do its job, work its way out of the part, and it'll keep any dust or debris entering this central area. But if you don't keep the grease up to it and it's just operating, it can flog out the bushings and you'll hear it. Like your van will be obviously very squeaky because the bush is interacting directly with the metal part. And yeah, it's just a really easy maintenance thing to keep up to, and it just keeps your van operating really nice and smoothly, and it's a really easy thing to service. So same with the DO45, just pump the grease connection onto that nipple and pump it until I see grease coming out at either end, and just listen for any cracks of air escaping the joint and water escaping the joint. So I can see grease working its way out of the joint there now, and that's perfect. I'll just clean up that nipple there and that's done. So for a few minute job, you can really look after your suspension by keeping the grease up to it. And yeah, it's a very simple one to do yourself. To get under here a bit easier, as you saw earlier, I lifted the suspension all the way up. Now that serves two purposes. It checks for any leaks in the bag, so I can see from the pressure gauge inside, and I can also see just visually. So it's a good way to check if you've got any leaks with your airbags without having to do soap tests or anything like that. Pump them all the way up to 70, 80 PSI, and if they let themselves down a little bit, you'll know to go looking. But this has been pumped up for a few hours and we haven't had any dramas. So also, while I'm under here, it's a really good time to just do a visual inspection, checking, making sure there's nuts on everything. Just have a visual inspection. You'll be surprised what you might be able to find if you just take the time and look around under here. But she's all looking pretty good today for me. Do a quick bolt check, make sure your wheel alignment bolts are still there, none have wiggled loose. These are all responsible for wheel alignment, so they're very important, but if they were missing or loose, you probably would know because your van would be driving like crap. But yeah, just look at all the mounts, make sure everything's sweet. I just clean the nipple off before I put the grease onto it, just so I'm not introducing any dirt or debris into the actual bushing. So you can see there the fresh grease just pouring its way out of the bush. There's a little bit up there as well, and it's on to the next one. Now once I've done all my swing arms before I get out from underneath the van, I just check my air tank here. If you've got airbags, you'll have an air tank. This can build up condensation and moisture, which isn't good to pump through the system. So what you just do is a little bit noisy. There's a relief valve on the bottom of the tank. If there's not, there should be. And you just give it a twist, let out any moisture. There you go, you saw a little spritz of moisture come out of there, and then the rest of it was air. All right, almost done. Now onto the wheels. All right, this maintenance stuff, definitely more important than the van looking good, because your safety depends on it. What I checked with the wheels is that the wheel nuts are all tight and torqued to spec. Now, I use a torque wrench. I've seen surprisingly a lot of cases of people's wheels coming off on the highway. A big reason for that is that they just hit them with the impact, or they hit them with a breaker bar, they tighten them with a breaker bar, and every time you do one of those methods, if it doesn't need to be tightened, you're essentially stretching the bolt. And that's what I like about a torque wrench, is if it doesn't need tightening, the torque wrench will let you know by stopping you from adding extra pressure. So I'll go around, do all the tires, including the spare, check the torques, make sure they're all nice and tight. I would also check the pressure of the tire, but because we run the tire pressure monitoring system, I know what the temperature and the pressure of the tire is always, so I won't need to do that. But if you don't have one of those systems, definitely check your pressures, make sure they're around 40, 45 is what I run on the highway. But yeah, this is something that I do very frequently. Every, say, 500 to 1,000 Ks, I'll check the wheels and just visually inspect the swing arms, make sure they don't need grease. But yeah, I'll go ahead and go around and tighten all these bolts up, or not tighten them up if they don't need it. They're nice and tight. See, it's not allowing me to add any pressure to the bolt. All right, well that is all sweet, and all the external cleaning and maintenance is finished for today. It's also a good opportunity to take your torque wrench, do your tow vehicle. I know this is a caravan specific episode, but if you're checking your wheel nuts and stuff like that and greasing up the different little odds and ends on your van, it's a good time to do it to your car as well. It also needs the love. But yeah, that's the external all done and dusted. Let's head inside and see what Passy does to keep the inside spick and span.
Okay, so Brad has done a phenomenal job of cleaning the outside of the Caravan and has brought it up to like new again, which is awesome. And now inside the Caravan, we're going to do the same thing. Now obviously, as we're traveling all the time, you would do normal cleans like once or twice or however often a week, and it's super easy. It takes like 15 minutes to half an hour to clean a Caravan, and it's great, but it's good every now and then to do a thorough deep clean. And so that's what we're going to be talking about more today, and like what we make sure we clean and what we use and that sort of thing. So to start off with, for like just the general cleaning, a huge tip is to get yourself a multi-purpose cleaner. Like, it doesn't matter which one. We use this Co stuff just because I've always used it and it's good, and I like buying the pack like that so that that can be under the bed or wherever, and then you can refill it up, and it's quite cost effective. But having just one multi-purpose cleaner that can do everything, rather than buying a spray and wipe for the benches, a glass cleaner, a floor cleaner, a bathroom cleaner, like, you don't want to be carrying around all of those things. So just get one that does the job, and then that's the best way to do it for storage and weight and like ease of getting supplies when you're on the road. So that's that. So you'll notice, especially with these zone benches, they look stunning, but a lot of people worry about the white bench tops and how you can keep them clean. And not just if you have a zone, but like any Caravan with lighter bench tops. So you can see here that I've just wiped it down and there's still some marks on there. I could probably like scrub a bit harder to get them out, but yeah, there's still some marks. And then so that's when we then use gumption to get the marks out. And this does the best job at bringing these bench tops back up to like brand new again. So that's what it looks like before. Yeah, so you can see this bit, I've wiped it down, but we still have some marks, and that we know is from our air fryer. When we bring it in, sometimes it leaves a bit of a greasy residue that doesn't like come out really well with the multi-purpose cleaner. So that's where the gumption comes in handy. I have done it before where I just like will spot clean. However, because it brings it up so nice and shiny and new again, if you just spot clean, you can tell the spots that you've done, and then the rest of it looks really dull. So I don't know, it's just, we just make it a habit like once every couple of weeks to just gumption all the stone looking bench tops, and that's the best way to do it. So anyway, yep, just gumption at them. So I've just scrubbed this whole bench top with the gumption. So now I just rinse out that same cloth just to like kind of rinse the gumption off the cloth, and then I'll give the whole bench a wipe down to like remove the gumptioning residue, and then you'll see it'll be all nice and shiny again.
These Sirocco fans are notoriously bad for getting filthy, and a lot of people don't know they can actually be pulled apart to be easily cleaned. This one isn't too bad because we haven't been using it a lot lately, but I'll still just pull it apart to show you how you can get in here and give it a good clean out. If you're in hot areas running these fans all the time, they get pretty dusty, pretty dirty really quickly. So there's just 4 tabs which pulls this cage off. So you just press the clips from behind. I'll just twist it around. So you can see there's some clips that sort of spread out, and if you just close them up and push them through the casing, it releases this cage, and you can pull this cage off, wash it in the sink, and then you can also just pop the actual fan off, because this is the trickiest part to cleaning these fans, is trying to get this fan really clean. This gets like the dirtiest, so you can pull it off. It will sometimes, if they're new, they take a little bit to pull off, but just give it a good tug, and then you've got your little propeller there.
See the dust.
Yeah, it's not too bad, but there is a bit on there. But then you just I wash that in the sink as well, and then it gives you a really easy area here to work and clean the rings and get in there and clean that all out nicely. Now that's the Sirocco fan, and then just obviously reverse the process to put it back together. So you just push that on, it's just like a friction fit, and line your clips up and slip that back on. And then also we clean this Max Air fan, and this one actually has been running a lot recently. As you can tell, there is a thick caking of dust on there.
Ew.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, and this is just easily removed by just twisting these 4 little clips, and then it just pops off, and you can give that a good wash in the sink.
Oh, let's have a look at that.
Yeah, it's pretty
That's
bad.
Gross.
That's going to be fresh, and then that also gives you access to this fan, which you can get in there with a cloth and wipe out.
True.
You can even take it off if you want, but there's just a little grub screw holding it in, but it's pretty easy to get in there and give that a clean out. But yeah, that's keeping all the fans and stuff clean. Just keeps them efficient, they're not running too hard, and keeps everything looking nice.
Okay, next step is to give the windows all a proper clean. So I've just got a damp microfiber cloth, and just gonna like clean them with that. So give the fly screen a good wipe down. Actually, that one wasn't too dirty. When I cleaned that one, there was so much dirt on it. I suppose we never really have this window open. Oh yeah, a little bit. And then it's so much easier to clean these flat screens. You know, the ones that are like a concertina? If you can avoid them in your Caravan, avoid them, because everyone I know that has had a concertina one before has said that they are a nightmare to clean, and they do get so dirty, the fly screens, when you do have them open a lot. But yeah, then we can clean that one too. If there's any little marks, I can just use my spray, and just basically getting in all the little bits and pieces. I'll just do these sills here. Like, you'd be surprised how dusty a Caravan environment is, because you are in such a small space, and you know, your bed takes up so much of it, and the windows are always open, and you're usually out camping in the elements where there's wind and whatnot, and the wind just rushes through. Like, everything gets so dusty all the time. So yeah, it feels good to do a deep thorough clean like this. And basically I'm just giving everything a wipe down, and then once I've done that, I'll come back through to all the windows with a fresh and clean microfiber cloth and spray the actual like window part and these bits again, just to give it a final clean. But I think that's looking pretty good. Okay, moving into the bathroom, again, like the multi-purpose cleaner we use to clean the bench tops, the sink, the toilet. You could use it in the shower if you want, although I do like to use shower power in the shower. But another good thing to do is a drum clean for the washing machine. Helps, you know, clean the drum. So we just use vinegar. Also, another tip for zone owners, this cupboard here, it's a bit funny, but it's really good for like cleaning supplies. So yeah, our vinegar and cleaning stuff belongs in there. But literally, if you just put some vinegar in the drum, and we also use this in the #1 compartment for our compost toilet too. Just put that, I don't really measure it, I just tip a bit in, helps like neutralize any smell or anything. So yeah, I don't really know how much, just a bit of vinegar in there. And then close that. Oh, I need to put the inverter on, hang on. Yeah, and then there's actually a drum clean setting on this particular washing machine. Drum clean, start that, let it clean. Okay, so those are the things that we do every now and then to give it a really deep, thorough clean. But when we're looking at cleaning just the once or twice a week, when it only takes like 15 minutes or half an hour, I'll just quickly run through what we do there. And firstly, on cleaning days, I always do it like on a travel day. We only tend to move once or twice a week, so that's a really efficient time to clean because everything's already packed away. Makes it easy because there's nothing on the bench tops and that kind of thing. So whenever we get to a new camp, I usually just do a quick clean of the caravan. Then we have our multi-purpose cleaner that we talked about before, and I just use that on all the surfaces. If the cupboards are a bit dirty and they have some like fingerprints on it, like I can see the microwave has some fingerprints, just give all those a clean with the same cleaner. Clean down the bench tops and the lounge. I use the same cleaner on the lounge as well. The fridge, just yeah, basically any surfaces. Then we also we have this little Makita stick vacuum. It's not the best vacuum, but it's better than what we used to have, which was like the brush and thing where you, what's that called? Dustpan and brush. So this is easier, and we got this because we already had the Makita tools, so it was just easy to use with that, and probably cheaper than other alternatives. So give it a vac, and then I don't do this a lot, but every now and then if we want to actually like mop the floor, then I just get again the same multi-purpose cleaner and a cloth and just wipe down the floor, spray and wipe the floor. Because for me personally, I don't think it's worth carrying a mop when it's like such a small space, and I really don't mop it very much anyway. And then the only other thing that we do use a different cleaner for is in the shower. We just use shower power, and we do try and keep on top of cleaning the shower quite regularly. Like whenever we've got extra water, or if we're hooked up to water, we'll always give it a clean with shower power. A few times when we've gone off grid for a while and we haven't been able to clean it, and you get a bit of a build up, gumption's really good in the shower too for where it gets a bit grimy at the bottom. But yeah, those little things literally take me between 15 to 30 minutes depending on how much of them I'm doing. And even the toilet, I clean the toilet using the same multi-purpose cleaner. So yeah, all for a multi-purpose cleaner. But anyway, we'll go back to Brad outside to see what else there is to do.
All right, so we've covered the van maintenance. Patsy's covered a lot of the cleaning stuff inside. Now, another little bit of maintenance, sort of an internal and external thing, is maintaining your water tanks and your grey water tanks. And we use 2 products for this and 2 different techniques. The first one is these Best water filters. Now these are good for filtering up to 5,000 litres of water. They just help picking up bacteria and just filtering your water. We always connect these whenever we fill up water, even when we're just connected to mains like we are now, we always run it. And yeah, these are good to filter around 5,000 litres of water, which I reckon is around 2 to 3 months. We replace these. A lot of people have these for years and don't replace them, but they're actually pretty useless once they've done their initial 5,000 litre cycles. And then the second product we use to clean the tanks and the grey water tanks is this Camec tank clean solution. So got some instructions here, ratios to use for different size water tanks. So what I do is I'll put in the correct ratios of powder into the grey water tanks and into the drinking water tanks, and that just sort of gives them a clean. You flush them out a few times, so just to do that when you're on a water hookup like we are now, so I'll take advantage of that and give all the tanks a clean out. I know a lot of people don't clean their water tanks on their Caravans, and I think it's a little bit crazy because you think about it, if you have a water bottle, you wash it up every, you know, a few weeks or whatever. Well, I do anyway, because it will build up a little bit of algae, and the same thing I think will happen on the inside of these tanks. So it's best to keep them clean, keep any nasties out of them, and yeah, it just makes me feel better. So I'll start by chucking on this new best filter. It's very straightforward using these things. Before you use it, you got to give it a flush because there's charcoal or something in there, and as you'll see, we'll flush it out, you'll see all the black. Look at that. So give it a good flush before you actually hook it up to the van, otherwise you'll end up with all that black charcoaly sediment in the in your water lines in your Caravan. So give it a few runs through. And there you go, that's good to go. That's a throwaway item, and we've got a freshie ready to go. All right, next up is our tank clean. So I've just isolated our grey water tank. We have a bypass for our grey water tank, so if we don't want to use the grey water tank, we can just have it literally bypassing the tank. That stops any water being stagnant and building up in there, which is really handy. But we'll jump inside and I'll treat the grey water tank first because it's easiest to see. So it's the active ingredient is chlorinated trisodium phosphate, whatever that means. All I know is that about 11 grams treats 10 litres, and we've got a 100 litre grey water tank. This is about 200 grams, this little container. So I'm just going to dump half this container into the sink here. You can spread it out, put some in the shower as well if you wanted, which is what I might do. I'll even do the kitchen sink. Some dirty dishes in there. I've used about half that powder there. And then I just wash it down with some warm water and fill that tank all the way up. Let that bubble away. A little while, we'll see the grey water tank will start filling up. We'll get it nice and full, and then we'll leave it overnight. And now I'll go and treat all our 3 drinking water tanks. All right, I'm back under the van, and I'm going to treat the drinking water tanks now. And on our van, or every van should have some type of bung so that you can bleed off contaminated water or treat your water tanks. So this tank is pretty well empty. If I feel inside there, it actually doesn't feel slimy at all, but I'll still treat it. So I'll just let that water dribble out, and I'll get a spoon that is big enough to fit through that hole. I'll dump all of my powder in there, and then I'll seal it back up with the bung, and then I'll fill the water tanks up as I usually do at the fill point there. So I'll let that water drain off. I've got a full tank of drinking water too, so that's this tank here. So I'll need to drain all that water out of there just so I can put this treatment in. She's full. And then the same with the rear tank here. So drain all the water out of there, and we can put our powder in. I've just lifted the van up a little bit just so I can get under it a bit easier. And what it does, any water left in the bottom of that tank is drained to the other side, so that when I put a good helping of this in, it won't all trickle out. So it's going to be quite tedious. I've just got a teaspoon, a heap teaspoon. That's about 10 grams right there, so I need 10 of them. Oh, don't lose it. Alright, there we go, 10 teaspoons. It's only like probably a 70 or 80 litre tank, so I have gone a little bit over with my measurements. That's alright, a little bit more won't hurt. Pop my bung back in. Repeat the process on all 3 tanks, and then I'll fill them all the way up and leave them overnight. And it's bonus points if you're cruising down the road and you've got a water fill up point on the other side, because a little bit of agitation will help. If you're going to drive, leave a little bit of air in the top, don't fill them all the way up so that there's a bit of sloshing action. And when you get to your next destination, or if you leave them overnight, drain them in the morning and refill them and cycle them through like once or twice, just to get any sort of chemical taste out of the tanks. Yeah, I'll fill that up and we should be sweet and have nice and fresh clean tanks. Alright guys, well that pretty much covers everything that we do to deep clean our caravan, keep it in tip-top shape, maintain it, and yeah, hope you found this video useful. But if there is anything that we didn't touch on in this episode that you want to know about, definitely leave a comment down below and we'll get back to you. But as always, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.